First question. Well, this is more a conversation one. It was with a client I had. With some of the online clients, I have them drinking water every morning. So one of the first things, actually the first thing they do, I get them to drink a pint of water. And one of them said to me, I feel amazing after that pint of water, but I don't really know why I'm doing it or what's the point of it. So the reason for that is when we're sleeping, we lose quite a lot of water. We lose water through sweat and even just through breathing. So we lose quite a bit of water and we wake up then dehydrated in the morning. So the first thing I get people to do, and the first thing I do myself, is drink water before we even have breakfast. So what happens then, obviously we're starting to hydrate again, energy levels start to go up. So you'll start to become more of a morning person, if you like, by getting that bit of water in early. So that's the reason I do that. And obviously, you guys will have heard it loads of times as well, but when you're keeping hydrated, you tend to bring the overall calories down as well because you're not eating as much. A lot of the time, people are on the side of dehydration when actually they think they're hungry, but they're possibly just dehydrated a lot of the time. So make sure the water intake is kept up, and getting a glass in the water is a great way to start the day. It's a tough habit if you're not used to doing it, but it is well worth trying and trying to get into. So again, guys, as you come in, will you just drop a comment to say hello, let me know you're there. I'd say the numbers are going to be very, very small this evening. Everybody's outside in the sun. It's hard to blame them. Right, I'm going to keep moving on. So next question. It's my birthday at the weekend. There'll be cake and a few drinks in the house and probably loads of unhealthy food, actually. Any ideas? Okay, let me say that again. It's my birthday at the weekend. There'll be cake and a few drinks in the house and probably loads of unhealthy food, actually. Any ideas? Right, okay. This is a very common one. This happens all the time, so it's not unusual by any means. So it's well worth covering. My take on this is very, very simple. If it's a birthday, if it's eaten out on a Saturday night, whatever it is, go and enjoy it. It's a one-off. It's not happening all the time. It's there to be enjoyed. The likes of your birthday there where you're clearly going to have a party in the house, it's once a year. It's not going to do any major damage in the overall scheme of things. If you want to be really disciplined, something I do myself and something I kind of recommend my clients to do, if it was a case that I was eating out on a Saturday night, obviously nobody's eating out on a Saturday night at the moment, but if it was, one of the things I would do is in the few days beforehand, I would bring the calories down a little bit each day. So it's nothing major, it's just kind of taking maybe one less snack per day, so I'm putting more in the bank. So when that Saturday night comes, I have a little bit of credit built up and then I'm going to have my dessert and whatever. So it's just a little trick, I suppose, that works quite well. But I would say to you, go and enjoy it anyway. Don't get too stressed about it. It's not going to do any major damage. It's only a once-off thing. What I would also look for with clients is if they have something like that coming up, or maybe it's a wedding or whatever it is, I'll always say to them, absolutely enjoy it, just chill out and enjoy it. But in the week beforehand, we're going to work hard. So I'm going to get you working hard for that Monday to Friday. If the wedding is on a Friday or a Saturday, you're going to work hard for the week. Then you're going to go enjoy the wedding, and then you're straight back on track afterwards, and we put another good week in afterwards. That's how it's going to be. You know, it's going to be absolutely fine. There's going to be no damage done with that approach. I think where a lot of people struggle is that they have the wedding or whatever it is, and then it drags into the following week as well, and then it becomes a long drawn out thing, and then it's hard to get back on track. So it's more about discipline than anything else, but absolutely, if it's your birthday, go and enjoy it and don't feel bad about it. That would be my number one tip on that. Okay, let me grab some water. Again, guys, if you have any questions, throw them up. Everybody's outside, there's nobody even online. It's a small group this evening. Yeah, any questions as we go, guys? It's probably a good evening to get them done while it is quiet. So if you want to know anything or you need anything answered, throw up that question. I'll try and get to it before the end. Right, next question. Number 3. Any tips for being able to sleep better on my first early shift, please? I'm up at 5:30, go to bed around 10 to 10 to 10:30, but usually only end up falling asleep around 2 a.m. Okay. Right. This one is somebody I'm working with. I'm going to put this out to you guys. You might be able to help me out here. This is somebody who does shift work. I've never really done shift work to that extent. So she does nights and she does days and all this sort of stuff. So where she's having the problem is not necessarily sleeping in general. It's that initial changeover. So it's when she goes from nights to days or from days to nights. So if any of you guys do that and you have any tips on sleep, will you please put them up there and let us know. That's not one I'd be an expert in. As I said, it's not something I've actually done myself, and I like to experience things myself before I start giving out advice on it. So if you have any tips on that, shoot them up. What I will say as regards sleep in general, there's a few things you can do, because I know there's going to be people watching this who struggle with sleep because it's a common issue. Firstly, try and get to bed and get up. Get to bed at the same time, get up at the same time each day. Routine is important. Make the room as dark as possible. Complete cave if you can. Make it completely dark. Keep the temperature down lower in it as well. And a couple of other things. One of the big ones that I find with people at the moment is around phones and technology in the bedroom, and that's keeping you awake. So I would always say to you, get rid of the phones out of the bedroom. And if you need an alarm clock, you can still buy them. You don't need the phone. There's other ways of doing it. So if you are struggling with sleep, I would definitely get rid of the phones. Try and get screens off at least 2 hours before you go to bed. And another thing I would say to you is don't eat too close to bedtime either. Because if you have a lot of food going in or a big meal, your digestive system is still working. And that's probably going to keep you awake as well. You're going to be tossing and turning. So that's a few general tips. If anybody has, again, got tips on changing over from days to nights for shift work or anything like that, throw up your comments, let us know. You're all very, very, very quiet this evening, guys. I feel like I'm chatting to myself here. Facebook Live is hard. Do you know what? It's actually easier when you've got an audience in front of you and you can speak to people and you can see reactions and you can engage with people. Facebook Live is hard. I'm here sitting looking at myself on the phone. Yeah, are you all there, guys? Drop me a comment. Let me know you're alive. Let me know there's something happening out there. Some sign of life. I'd say everybody's out in the sun, to be fair. Right, well, I'll keep going. What else do I want to get to? Number 4. When doing the tricep dips in a HIIT session, I could really feel the stretch in my calves. Is this normal or is my form not 100%? Yeah, I'd say it's the latter. It's the form. So this is a very simple one to fix actually. More than likely, I would say your feet are too far away from you. You've got too much of a stretch on the body. So just bring them back a little bit. Just move them back slightly towards the chair or the bench or whatever you're using. But also watch where your back is as well. Keep your back in line with the bench and dipping straight down so you're not way far out from the bench, and then the feet stretched as far as you can as well. So once you bring the feet back a little bit, it'll probably stop that stretch in the calves, I think. Patricia, how are you? Good to hear from somebody. Everybody else has been very, very quiet. How are things? You good? Yeah, so I'm going to keep moving, guys. It's the quietest Facebook Live we've ever had, which is hard to blame people with the weather out, but I'm just going to keep going and fly through it. Again, if you have any questions, it's a good evening to get them in, because I will try and get round to them while it's quiet. Right. What else we got after tricep dips? Number 5. Any particular book or audio book you go back to time and time again? And in brackets it says personal development. There's a couple, yeah. Probably one of the best books I've ever read, and I would say it's one of the best books of all time, is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And it kind of sounds, when you hear the title, you go, oh, is that a bit soppy or whatever? It's not. It's a brilliant book. It's about a psychologist who survived Auschwitz and a lot of concentration camps, and he looks at different aspects of why you get through it and your purpose and all that sort of stuff. Fantastic book, fantastic book. So that's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. The other book that I come back to time and time again that I would say has really gone a long way towards shaping my mindset is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Absolutely love that book. It's brilliant. If you're looking to get a bit of mindset work done, personal development work, that's the one. It's The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Or, alternatively, boom, you can get that on my website, and I might even get the author to sign it for you if you purchase it in the next couple of days. Giving a little plug there. Right, that's the books. Anything else? Question number 6. I'm going to keep going. I'm flying through this because you're all very quiet. Unless you stop me. If there's something you want to know, throw up a comment and stop me, because I'm just racing ahead here. Number 6. Any bad advice recommendations? Any bad advice / recommendations you hear in your profession? And in brackets it says, got this from a Tim Ferriss book. This is the hardest question I think I've got yet on the Q&As. This one came in last night. It dropped into my emails last night. And I've had about 18 hours going over it in my head and over it. And it's just got me. It's got me. So it was most of the time I look at them and then I kind of brush them off and I have another little glance before I start the video. This one has been going around in my head for a long time. So the question again is, any bad advice / recommendations you'll hear in your profession? I'm not going to nail it down to one thing, but there is a couple of things maybe that kind of grind my gears a little bit. One of them I would say is when I see people prescribing what they want to prescribe for a client rather than what the client actually needs. So I'm going to preface this a little bit by saying I absolutely love weights, by the way, so I'm not slating this by any means. I love lifting weights. But this is a good example. You will get a lot of professionals who are the same as myself. They love lifting weights or they love doing a certain type of training, and therefore they prescribe that for the client. But maybe that's not actually what the client needs. The client will enjoy it and they'll love it and they'll be glad to have been brought into it. But like, let's take a weight loss client, for example. If there's somebody who's very overweight, it's not the best idea to put those people on just a weights program and not doing any cardio work. And it might be the enjoyable thing for them to do. It might be the thing that they like the personal trainer for. But I mean, I said I love weights, but if I see somebody that's very overweight or maybe that needs to lose a few pounds, I'll have no problem saying to them, you need to go running or you need to go walking or you need to do some cardio work and you need to work up a sweat. So really, you need to see what does the client need rather than what do you actually want to prescribe for them. So that's one of the things I do see a little bit of at times. That kind of bugs me, but I'm not going to go on a rant about it. So always thinking about the client, putting yourself in their shoes, what do they actually need? That's the number one thing. I've broken this down because a couple of things, once I started thinking about it, a couple of things came into my head. Most of these are actually from a trainer's point of view, and I know we get a few trainers and a few coaches watching these lives and whatnot, and they watch them back. So I'm going to help you out a little bit here as well, hopefully. There's another thing that I see an awful lot of within the industry, and it is overcomplicating things. And it's probably about ego as much as anything from the client's point of view. It's a great read, your book, can pick it up anytime, really got me focused. Oh Jesus, loads of comments coming in now, you've all been quiet up to now. Can pick it up anytime, really got me focused, mindset, help giving up the alphags. If your mind said that is all to do with the person, I think. Yeah, 100% Vijala, you really, this is one of the things. I'm going to go back to that point I was making in a minute, by the way. I'll finish it in a moment. Just in relation to mindset, you can know everything about food, training, whatever, but if your head's not on it, you won't do well. Mindset is everything. And this is one of the things that kind of grinds my gears a little bit again, especially from clients. They want to know, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do the other? They always go for the how. And I just always say to them, you know what? Until your head's in the right place, you won't do well. And a lot of the time people think they know better than that, and they look at mindset person development as kind of fluffy stuff, and they think they don't need to do it, and they skip by it. And then, because the thing is, like with a lot of this stuff, the basics of what to do, most people know the basics. It's not that they have a lack of knowledge, it's that they're not applying what they know, and it's that they're not setting goals, and it's that they're not looking at personal responsibility and accountability and all this sort of stuff. That's the mindset stuff I talk about. That's what's important. So yeah, I agree with you on that, and that's why I kind of wrote that book. But even with the new book I'm writing at the minute, I've just split into 2 sections. And effectively, one section is around mindset for weight loss. I've kind of brought it down to weight loss on this one, but probably the vast bulk of that book is about mindset for weight loss. And then the second section is about the how, and the practical tips on what to do. But I know before I've even put that book out there, a huge percentage of people will skip the mindset stuff and they'll go straight to the how to. And they're the people that won't do so well, because they're the people that always do that. You know, so if they actually took the time to work on their mindset, it would change everything. But again, look, I'm preaching this stuff, and look, someday people will kind of pick up on it. There's a couple of other comments coming in there. Hey Glenn, how are you? Patricia, I'll get to your question in a second. I'm going to go back to my previous one about overcomplicating things. So this is what I would see a lot of time with fitness professionals in particular. I think sometimes it's about ego, and they're trying to show how good they are and how much they know. And really, for me, it's break it down into language that the client can understand. That's the most important thing. Let me give you an example. I'm not going to name any names here or anything, but a couple of years back, it's a few years now, I was in a gym and I was doing a bit of training myself. So I was just doing my own workout, and that particular day I had no headphones on or anything, so I was just training away myself. And I seen a personal trainer on the gym floor with a client, and they were actually right beside me. Now, I don't know if it was that this guy wasn't trying to impress me, or if he was totally unaware of what he was doing or what it was, but his client was very obviously of a beginner level. He wasn't advanced at all. He was just in there. I think it looked to me like it was maybe his first, second, third session. Like he was new to the whole thing. And the trainer was saying, well, this exercise here, this gets really into the pec minor and all this sort of stuff. And I could see your man looking like, what in the name of God is he talking about? And I wasn't going to say anything. I was just keeping completely out of it. But for me, that was very much a case of you're massaging your own ego there. All you have to say, this works the chest. That's all a guy who's on his first or second session needs to know, rather than getting into the details of the kind of the muscle groups and all the rest. So always, if you're a coach watching this or you're a trainer, I would always say to you, think about the client, think about making it easy for them to understand. What are they going to be able to take away? Because there's no point in you coming out with big fancy terms and then walking out the door completely bamboozled and not knowing what you're talking about. Okay, so this has come back to my question. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. But the question was, any bad advice / recommendations you hear in your profession? So that's one. And the final thing I'm going to say then is, I'm going to say this, it's more probably not for the general public, but more for people within the industry and people who train themselves. I think one of the worst pieces of advice that is given out by fitness professionals is to people who love their training. So I see this time and time again where somebody is really into the training, they really enjoy it, they're there every week, and they decide maybe they'd like to do a qualification in personal training or become a coach or whatever. And the trainer goes, yes, do it, you're great at training, you love training, absolutely you should do it. I think that's a terrible piece of advice, being perfectly honest, because if you love training, then do training. Do your training if you love training. But being a trainer, being a personal trainer, being a coach, there's a million times more to it than that. You need to be very passionate about helping people. So that's the number one thing. It's not whether you love your training or not. It's, are you passionate about helping people? Do you genuinely want to make a difference? And if you don't, I would say don't go into this game, because you're wasting your time. You won't be good at it, because people will see right through it, and you won't put the work into it, and you won't put the effort into it. The other things you need to be aware of when it goes down that road as well of personal training and whatever, are you able to run a business? Do you know how to run a business? That's one of the things I would definitely say to people you need to be good at. So just saying to people, well, you should be a personal trainer because you love training, that's not enough. There needs to be more behind it than that. You need to be able to help people. You need to be wanting to help people. You need to be able to run a business. And if not, you need to go and find out how and study that stuff. And another thing we've mentioned a few minutes ago, but mindset. I've come back this time again. I've worked so much on my mindset over the last 6-7 years. I was on a phone call today with another guy who runs a business, and he's into it as well. And that's the thing. I think everybody that does achieve whatever they want, they have worked on their mindset. And he was saying to me, he was asking me to recommend books, and I was just saying to him, being honest with you, I don't know if I'd still be in business if I hadn't done all the personal development and all the mindset work that I have done. That's how much I value it. That's how much I think it's important. So again, going off on a bit of a tangent. But anyway, let me take your question, Tricia. I still have one or two more of my own there. So what would you add to water to get a bit of flavour? Find it hard to drink plain water at the moment. Squeeze juices into it, whatever you want. I mean, orange juice, lemon juice, whatever you want, squeeze them all in. I got this question actually on Instagram a couple of weeks ago as well, where somebody asked me, is it okay to add no added sugar, my waddy, to your orange, or to your water, sorry. I wouldn't have a major problem with that. If it means that you're going to drink more water, there's a million times worse you could be doing than adding a little bit of my waddy with no added sugar in it. Not ideal, not perfect in terms of colourings and all the rest, but if it's calories we're looking at, that might be the way to go if you're struggling. So adding a little dip of that in now and again is okay. But I would prefer juices. I mean, I would prefer if you were actually getting fruits and squeezing them in. I have a great water bottle there myself actually. Good for You gave me this. There's a plug for them because they gave me a load of free stuff. That's Good For You, the company that do the wee snacks and that. They gave me this water bottle. I don't know if you can see it there, but inside that there's a wee squeezer thing. Can you see that? Probably not. There's a wee thing inside that you can put your fruit in, and it squeezes it for you. It squeezes it into the water. So that's pretty cool if you can get hold of one of those type of bottles. It's pretty cool. But yeah, don't beat yourself up on it. If there's a little bit of no added sugar in my waddy in, you could be doing a lot worse. But yeah, I will get the water intake up if I can. Is that okay? Any more questions, guys? Shoot them up. I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon. It's the quietest Wednesday we've done yet. Everybody's enjoying the last of the good weather. Right, question number 7. Oh, we've kind of covered this, I think. In the last 5 years, has there been any particular habit / behaviour that has greatly enhanced your life? And it says in brackets, also from Tim Ferriss. We've got a Tim Ferriss fan sending in questions here. So is there any particular habit or behaviour that has greatly enhanced your life? This is a very easy one. So the previous question was one of the hardest I've ever had. This is one of the easiest I've ever had. The thing that has greatly impacted my life and my business is committing to learning every day. Committing to learning every single day. That's been the one thing that has really, really moved me forward. So every single day I'm trying to learn. And that's, if you ask me what has changed my business from where it was 6-7 years ago to where it is now, it has been that. So every day I read. The first thing I do in the morning after my water, the first thing I do in the morning is I read a chapter of a book. I normally read for about an hour every morning. It will be a minimum 40-45 minutes, usually an hour. And a lot of that stuff is personal development stuff, or it's fitness training, nutrition stuff, or it's something that's going to bring value to me or bring value to my clients. So sometimes it's about how to run a business as well. So all that sort of stuff, I would read for an hour every morning. When I'm training, I am listening to podcasts. That's every day as well. So I probably get through, I'd say coming up to 15-20 podcasts a week easily. And then when I'm in the car, I listen to audiobooks. Cheers, Tricia. Then when I'm in the car, I listen to audiobooks. So the reason I like the audiobooks in the car is because I can concentrate on them and I can take it in. And it's a lot faster than trying to just read every physical book. So that means I'm learning all the time. Like, I'm never wasting time driving in the car listening to rubbish that's on the radio or the music or whatever. So I'm taking it all in. I don't listen to audiobooks when I'm training or when I'm running, for example, for the simple reason that if I'm doing that, I find that I don't really concentrate on it, especially when the run gets further in and you're kind of struggling a little bit more, your concentration levels dip. So for that reason, I don't listen to audiobooks. I stick with podcasts because it's a little bit more lighthearted. You'll still pick stuff up, but it's not as formal or something. So that's kind of why I do that.